Well, I've officially tapped out on most of the new TV shows. Seriously, I've tried. But between the 8-episode seasons that take 2 years to come back, and the storylines that feel like they were written by a tired algorithm after a bad breakup, I just can't do it anymore. I don't even make it to the finale. Half the time I'm bored, I'm annoyed, and I'm out. So I'm going back. Back to when shows had grit. Real characters, drama that hits you in the gut. Story arcs that actually meant something. Full seasons you could sink into, not some snack-sized nonsense. This channel? It's my love letter to the shows that actually delivered. The ones that made you care, made you yell at the screen, made you binge-watch way past your bedtime. And look, I know the almighty YouTube algorithm might not shower these videos with views or push them to the front page, but I genuinely don't care. The YouTube algorithm can suck it. I'm making the kind of content I want to see. I'm doing this for the people who miss good TV and want to revisit it with fresh eyes and some real talk. If you're here, thank you. If you stick around, even better. Because my new motto is simple. If I build it, hopefully more will come. So let's take this ride together, one gritty, unforgettable show at a time. Let's kick this off with one of my all-time favorite shows, Burn Notice, an American action drama series that aired on USA Network from 2007 to 2010. They just don't make shows like this anymore. It's gritty, clever, full of tension, and absolutely holds its own alongside spy classics like 24 and Alias. Right now, I'm deep in my spy drama era, and if you've been following along with my Chicago PD series recaps, you already know the vibe. I'm bringing that same energy here. Season-by-season breakdowns, character arcs, the moments that hit hard, and all the reasons this show still holds up. Hi, and welcome to Timeless New York City. I'm Lena, and today we're revisiting the TV show Burn Notice, a gritty, smart, and underrated spy drama that still holds up. This wasn't just about explosions and espionage. It was about a burned spy rebuilding his life from the ground up, surrounded by a loyal, complicated crew, and stories packed with heart, tension, and wit. With 7 full seasons, sharp writing, and unforgettable characters, Burn Notice blended action with real emotion, and it's time to give it the spotlight it deserves. If you've seen Burn Notice, come take a walk down memory lane with me. If you haven't, fair warning, there will be spoilers, but honestly, I hope this inspires you to start watching. This show ran for 7 full seasons. Yes, real seasons, not 8-episode snack packs. And it's currently streaming on Hulu here in the States. So grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's revisit one of the most underrated spy series to ever hit TV. Burn Notice is the story of Michael Westen, a top-tier covert operative who suddenly gets burned, and in the spy world, that means you're done. A burn notice is the intelligence community's version of exile. Your name's taken off every list, your accounts are frozen, your contacts vanish, and no one will return your calls. You're labeled unreliable, disavowed, and toxic. It's not just career ending, it's personal erasure. Michael gets burned in the middle of a mission. No warning, no reason. One day, he's a trusted asset in the field. The next, he wakes up in Miami bruised, broke, and completely cut off. It's the city he grew up in, the one he tried to leave behind. Now, it's the only place he can be. He's trapped there, under surveillance, with no job, no resources, and 0 answers. To survive, he falls back on what he knows, spycraft. But instead of working global ops, he uses those skills locally, helping ordinary people deal with dangerous problems they can't solve alone. It keeps him sharp, it gives him purpose, and it buys him time to dig into who burned him and why. He doesn't do it alone. Fiona, his ex, is a force of nature, explosive, emotional, and always ready to dive headfirst into chaos. Sam, his best friend and former Navy SEAL, plays it cool, but watches everything, always making sure Michael doesn't lose himself. And then there's Madeline, his mother, tough, nosy, loving in her own way, and a constant reminder of who he used to be before the missions and the lies. At its core, Burn Notice isn't just about espionage, it's about identity. It's about what happens when everything is stripped away of your job, your purpose, your connections, and you have to rebuild from scratch. Michael isn't trying to save the world. He's just trying to survive it, figure out who betrayed him, and maybe, in the process, figure out who he really is. Now let's take a closer look at the team and their story arcs for Season 1. Michael Westen's arc, The Spy Who Got Burned. Michael is a man trained to disappear, blend in, fix problems, and leave no trace. A covert operative with years of missions around the world, he was always focused, methodical, and detached until someone pulled the rug out from under him. One minute, he's deep in the field. The next, he's burned, cut off, dumped in Miami. With no answers and no backup. Season 1 is about survival. He's angry, restless, and a man who built his entire life around purpose, now forced to live in the ruins of it. But instead of breaking, he adapts. He uses what he knows about spycraft, psychology, and strategy to help people in trouble, often because it's the only thing that makes sense in the mess his life has become. Michael's dry humor hides frustration and loss. Every person he trusts, Fiona, Sam, Madeline, pulls at a different piece of who he was and who he's becoming. And though he's always in control on the surface, underneath he's a man trying to figure out what it means to build something for himself instead of a mission. By the end of Season 1, Michael isn't just trying to get his old life back. He's starting to build a new one, on his own terms, his own. Fiona Glenanne, the woman who stayed. Fiona's arc is about reconnecting, and not just with Michael. A former IRA operative and weapons expert with a love for explosives and fast getaways, Fiona lived a life full of chaos long before Miami. When Michael lands back in town, it's more than just unfinished business. It feels like a second chance, not just for them as a couple, but for her to build something different. She never really stopped loving him, but she's not the same woman he left behind. Fiona is rough around the edges. Violence is second nature, and she doesn't always understand Michael's need to keep things calm or bury his emotions. She pushes him not to fight, but to wake up. She wants honesty, connection, but she never begs for it. Over the season, she begins to shift. She's not just chasing a rekindled flame anymore. She starts protecting her own heart too. Still fiercely loyal, still at Michael's side, but now carving out her place not just in his life, but in the mission itself. Fiona's not just backup, she's part of the team, and she's staying whether Michael's ready to deal with that or not. Sam acts, the friend who knows too much. Sam plays it cool with beers, mojitos, charm, and a permanent sunburn. But behind the laid-back vibe is a man who's seen it all. A retired Navy SEAL with years of covert ops under his belt, Sam knows how bad things can get. He watches Michael fall apart quietly, not judging, not rushing, just staying close, knowing Michael won't ask for help until he's drowning. In Season 1, Sam's in his own weird limbo. He's retired, semi-broke, and feeding the feds crumbs about Michael just to keep them off his back. It's not betrayal, it's survival, just like everything else in his life. But little by little, his loyalty becomes obvious. He's not just the guy with a drink and a smart remark. Sam is the glue of a friend who shows up, who carries more weight than anyone realizes, and who keeps this team from completely falling apart. By the end of the season, he proves he's not just comic relief. He's family. Madeline Westen, the mother who refused to be left behind. Madeline is complicated. She's Michael's mother, yes, but also a woman with her own history, her own regrets, and her own quiet strength. She raised 2 sons in a tough household with a violent husband, and while Michael learned to hide and survive, Madeline held everything together with grit and cigarettes. When Michael comes home, she doesn't know the full story, but she knows enough to see the damage. He's secretive, hardened, emotionally walled off, and she wants to break through, not to control him, but to reach him. She nags, she smokes, she meddles, but she's present. As the season goes on, she starts to step into the world Michael has tried to keep her out of. And surprisingly, she belongs there. She's tougher than people think, sharper, and when she joins the team in small ways, it's clear she's not dead weight. She's the emotional core they didn't know they needed. Barry Burkowski, the money guy with morals, sort of. Barry isn't your typical friend, but he becomes a crucial part of Michael's extended crew. He's a money launderer, sharp, shady, and always dressed like he's 2 decades behind Miami fashion trends, but he's reliable in his own way. Barry doesn't get his hands dirty in the field, but when it comes to moving money, scrubbing identities, or digging into financials, he's the guy. He's not in it for the cause Barry helps, because Michael keeps him protected, and because, deep down, he likes being part of something that feels bigger. He's a talker, a complainer, but he shows up when it counts. He's the guy who reminds the team that not all intel comes from spy satellites. Sometimes it comes from bank statements, offshore accounts, and creative accounting. Barry might not be family, but he's a fixture. A criminal with a conscience, sort of, and a surprisingly loyal piece of the puzzle. Nate Westen, the brother who never had it easy. Nate is Michael's younger brother, and their relationship is complicated. Nate didn't grow up to be a spy. He stayed in the mess, dealt with their abusive father, drifted through jobs, hustled here and there. Where Michael became disciplined and distant, Nate became impulsive and emotionally driven. When Michael returns to Miami, Nate comes back into his life full force with baggage, with resentment, and with that familiar little brother energy that never quite goes away. He wants to help. He wants to prove himself, but he often ends up in over his head, trying too hard to do what he thinks his older brother would do. Underneath the frustration and missteps, there's love. There's pain, 2 unresolved family wounds, the tension of 2 brothers who took different roads but were shaped by the same broken home. Nate doesn't always make the best decisions, but his heart's in the right place. And whether Michael likes it or not, Nate reminds him of the past he can't outrun and the family he never really stopped caring about. Season 1, Villains, the people who pull strings or twist knives. Philip Cowan, the mystery handler. Cowan isn't your typical villain. You barely see him, but his presence hangs over the entire season like smoke. He's the man on the other end of the line, feeding Michael just enough information to keep him chasing shadows. He never gives a straight answer, always keeps Michael guessing. He represents that maddening, faceless system that throws you away without explanation and dares you to try to understand why. He's not violent, not loud, just cold and calculated. When Michael finally confronts him, Cowan is killed right in front of him, which just deepens the mystery. It's a gut punch. Michael thought he was finally going to get clarity, and instead he's left holding more questions than ever. Carla's people, the shadowy presence. Toward the end of Season 1, we start to feel that there's someone even higher up pulling the strings behind Cowan. They're watching Michael, testing him, sending messages without faces. They're quiet, organized, and clearly dangerous. We don't fully meet them yet, but their reach is long, and it's clear Michael is now a piece in a game he doesn't understand. This looming presence becomes a new kind of threat. Not someone to punch or outwit, but a system with no clear shape. And worse, no conscience. The episodic villains, local thugs, scammers, and corrupt people. Season 1 also introduces weekly antagonists who are more street-level and often, sadly, realistic. Drug dealers, con men, abusive bosses, and violent criminals preying on the vulnerable, thinking no one will stop them. Michael doesn't go after these guys because he wants to play the hero. He does it because they're right in front of him, and because it gives him purpose in the middle of chaos. What makes these villains feel real is that they're not all evil masterminds. Some are just desperate, others greedy, and some are just broken. But Michael stepped in because no one else will. These cases give the show its emotional backbone. They're not just spy missions, they're human stories, showing that even when your own life is a wreck, you can still make a difference for someone else. The real threat in Season 1? Uncertainty. Yes, there are shady players and dangerous people, but the true villain in Season 1 is not knowing. Not knowing who to trust. Not knowing who's watching. not knowing who made the decision to take your life apart or why. Michael's not just fighting people, he's fighting the silence. The first time I saw the pilot of Burn Notice, I knew right away this wasn't just another spy show. But even then, I wasn't prepared for what the next 7 seasons would deliver. This show doesn't just hold up, it gets better with time. And honestly, that final season? One of my favorites. That's rare. Most shows fizzle out or lose their edge by the end, but Burn Notice sticks the landing. I can rewatch it over and over and still feel like I'm catching something new. As for breakout stars in Season 1, honestly, all of them. Every character brings something different, and the way they blend together is lightning in a bottle. But if I had to choose one, it's Fiona. This is how you write a badass woman. She is layered, bold, vulnerable, explosive in every way that matters. A lot of new shows and movies could take notes. Yeah, I am looking at you, Marvel. And if I could pick a second, it's Madeline Michaels' mom, played by Sharon Gless. She's timeless. Her presence grounds the show in a way that's hard to explain. The emotional depth she brings in every scene with Michael? Gut-wrenching. And when she's pulled into the team, she just fits. She's not just comic relief or a nagging mom, she's essential. Michael himself is such an underrated lead. His dry humor, his ability to slip into different roles depending on the mission, it's genius. And the best part? He's not some superhero. He's a man who has to think his way out of situations. He relies on experience, instincts, and people. That's real writing. That's the kind of character we need more of. Not just capes and powers, but someone human, raw, smart, and deeply flawed. And then there's Sam. You think he's just the funny buddy at first, the guy with the drink in hand and the sunburn. But as the season unfolds, you see how deep his loyalty runs, how much he holds the team together in ways no one expects. He's the glue. His arc throughout the show is one of the best surprises. Quiet, but powerful. This show is the full package. Real writing, real emotion, real grit. We need more of that again. That's why I'm calling Season 1 Survival Mode, because that's exactly what it was. Michael is trying to stay afloat, rebuild, and find out who he is when everything's been stripped away. Let me know your thoughts. Did you watch Burn Notice when it aired? Are you rewatching it now? Or maybe this is your first time diving in, and you're watching it with me as we go through these recaps together. Either way, I'd love to hear from you. And if you're enjoying the journey, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, not for the algorithm, but so we can keep having real conversations about the shows that actually meant something. Let's bring back that good TV energy one season at a time.